speaks here. Again, I want to talk about some common mistakes, safety issues, and hazards dealing with fireworks, display shows, backyard shows, and that type of thing. Just to keep everybody safe. Also throw in some tips that you might not have thought of. Obviously, follow your city and state ordinances. Don't violate the law. But I want to show you some common mistakes and hazards. For example, watch out for trees. Obviously, you don't want to catch the trees on fire. Also, you don't want things bouncing off the trees. You don't want an aerial hitting the tree and ricocheting and hit somebody. Also, make sure that you watch out for brush, dry leaves, that type of thing, maybe dry grass on the ground, anything that's flammable. Be careful of that. Also, some of the funniest fireworks videos on the internet, videos I like, and they aren't really funny because I know they were probably bad for somebody, but to get a tickle out of them, is when the whole fireworks stash goes off at once. When you're shooting your fireworks, if you're shooting one or two at a time, get some distance between the ones you're not shooting yet and the ones you're shooting so that it doesn't set everything off. If you do pallets like I do, put some space between your pallets so that one pallet, what's going off on one pallet doesn't ruin the rest of your pallets. Get some space in there. Watch out for flammables around. I saw a video where a guy was shooting off fireworks very close to his lawnmower because there was a concrete slab there. No more than 5 feet away was a gas can. I mean, just be careful about your surroundings. Watch out for hazards. Power lines. I have a power line over here. Watch out for power lines because, believe it or not, even a 3-inch artillery shell can knock a power line out. If utility company finds out you're guilty for that, you'll be paying for that repair. Also, you have some of these, if you'll notice on this pole over here, this gray thing, if you hit those, I mean, that could be a disaster. Watch for things around you, check your surroundings. When I do my fireworks show, something I'm big about doing, and everybody should do this, think about your fallout area. Like if you were shooting some fireworks on this pallet here, you need to consider your fallout area. And I went to a training and they talked about different distances. I would suggest 70 feet to 100 foot, 70 foot to 100 foot radius from wherever you're shooting the fireworks for your crowd to be. Don't let them be within 70 feet. I would say really don't let them be within 100 feet. My Christmas show last year, I marked off 75 foot radius. I put up caution tape to make sure nobody crossed that except for me and the people that were helping with the show. And then I told everybody else, it's like, this is where I don't want anybody to cross, but I suggest you get back behind this line. I had a 100 foot radius also marked. My son decided he wanted to step across the 100 foot and he didn't cross the 70 foot. He was the only one that got burned last year. And he was 70 feet away from consumer fireworks, and it got some of the fallout got him. So consider your fallout area. Also, I've started doing this because I do shoot pallets. I fuse things together. So if one thing goes wrong, it's not just one thing. I would get a suggestion I would make for you if you're doing pallets or even shooting 1 or 2 fireworks is use a barrier. People are not going to miss much of the show unless you're shooting fountains. They're not going to miss much of the show if you do a barrier. I would suggest you just get some temporary stakes and put up some barriers. I've started doing this in all my shows. So I will just get some piece of plyboard or something. I will set up my pallet. If my crowd is over there, I put a barrier between my pallet and the people. I put some stakes in the ground because if one of those tips over, I want to protect the spectators. I want to protect the people that are helping me. And I don't want to be hit, honestly. So barrier is a good idea. If you're shooting in the grass and putting these pallets on grass, wet your grass before you put the pallets out there, just so the grass is a little bit wet and it doesn't catch on fire as easily. I would suggest that you have at least a 3-person crew if you're doing a display or a show. If you're shooting one firework at a time, it's different. Otherwise, you need more than one person. I would suggest one person shoots, which is probably going to be you, because you're probably a pyro like me. Have somebody else to be a spotter. They'll be the ones to spot, something tipped over. Oh no, something's catching on fire that has already finished shooting. Oh no, there's a trip hazard that somebody's about, or that one of the crew is about to fall on. Oh no, you have somebody creeping too close, and they can send them back. Your spotter has either a fire extinguisher or a water sprayer, like I showed you in a previous video, and they are going to try to put the fires out. So make sure you have that guy. Also, it would be great to have another person do your music that is not the shooter and not the spotter. And if you can do a security guy as well, that's fine. You will find volunteers, by the way. There are other pyros that would love to be closer to the action. So just consider that. Very important thing I want to talk to you guys about is duds and fireworks that don't work right. If you light a fuse and it doesn't go off, try not to relight that. Just take your loss. Just move on to the next one. Don't try to relight that. And if you are going to relight it, wait till after the show or it's over. Then get you some extra fuse that you may have already bought, and put some extra fuse on it. Then you can light it and shoot it off. If you do have a dud, by the way, don't tip it over. I knew a guy, he was like, oh, that's a dud, so I'm going to tip it over so I know that that's a dud. No, leave the dud alone. If it decides to fire later, let it fire what it's supposed to do. Don't tip it over where chaos happens. Don't tip over fireworks that have already shot. Saw a guy doing that. He was like, okay, I shot this one, tip it over so I know it's done so I can do the next one. And tip that one over so I know it's done so I can do the next one. Don't tip them over. Sometimes it doesn't completely shoot. It happens. If the thing catches on fire, all of a sudden, you've got projectiles headed towards the wrong direction. Don't drown duds. What I mean by that is don't dump a bucket of water on it. I told you to use I told you a good suggestion of using a wet towel, using water sprayer, whatever. Don't dump water on it, because if you fill those tubes full of water, the very thing you're trying to put out might actually float to the top and then decide to take off. When you're doing your shows, walk, don't run. Commercial fireworks, you have 3 seconds to light those fuses and get back. That's longer than you think. 1, 2, 3. With artillery shells, you have 5 to 7 seconds. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Walk, don't run, because you don't want to trip over yourself or somebody else. So those are some mistakes that I'm afraid people are going to make, some safety issues and some hazards. Last thing I want to talk about is what are some of the most dangerous fireworks. And the first one I will say is, when you buy fireworks, they give you these little wooden sticks that look like incense, and you catch the end of those on fire, and then you have that red tip, and it saves you money, I guess, lighting fireworks, because you just touch that wooden stick to the fuse, and people are like, oh, I'm going to let my kids use this instead of the lighter. I'm going to be honest with you, letting your children use the lighter is safer, because those wooden sticks, I've seen adults not respect those things, and when they run away from the firework, that thing hits somebody else, or it flies back and hits them in the eye, or they trip. Those sticks are very dangerous. I would suggest actually using a lighter or something if somebody's going to be lighting a firework, maybe a torch. But if you like those lighter sticks, hey, don't let me stop you. Just trying to keep people safe. So I want to walk over here to the table. We're going to look at what are the most dangerous fireworks, and it's probably not what you think. For example, if you look at this assortment of fireworks that you have over here, the first one's probably going to jump out at you is, hey, hydrogen bomb is the most dangerous because it's the biggest. Well, actually it's not. These things are the least likely to tip over, and if you are looking over the top of it, sure, there's danger, but these are usually the least dangerous. Rarely do they shoot out the sides. It's the other fireworks that are most dangerous, and the reason why is human error and the fact that some of these things are just chaotic. So I wanted to warn you about that. Oh, also, by the way, if a firework does not shoot off and you feel like it's a dud, don't go looking over the top of this to see if it shot or not. I mean, I know a fella, unfortunately he was drinking. By the way, you should not be high or drinking when you're shooting fireworks, because your reaction time is not what it should be to ensure that both you're safe and somebody else is safe. But the guy was drinking a little bit and the thing did not shoot, and he was like, oh, I wonder why it didn't shoot. And he puts his face over it, hits him right in the eye, and knocks the guy out. He had some severe burns on his face. Don't look over a firework that didn't fire. If it didn't fire, walk away from it. Give it some time. Keep other people away from it. But these are generally not the most dangerous because people respect these. This is the big stuff. The most dangerous stuff, which by the way, I will show you talk to you about the only 2 items that are banned at my home when my kids are shooting fireworks. And I really don't even like having these types of fireworks at any fire show. Sparklers. These things burn at such a high temperature that people don't realize. Sparklers are fun. Kids love them. But I've seen too many kids look at the sparkler, and decide that they wanted to touch it or got too high, or they turned to their friend or their mom or dad and said, hey, look, Mom, and they burned somebody. But these are dangerous because we put them in the hands of children and expect something chaotic not to happen. We ban these around our place. We just don't do sparklers. That's one of my wife's biggest fears with fireworks, because she's actually seen somebody get very, very, very injured from just a simple sparkler. So we don't do those anywhere. Plus, people could get stuck in the eye. If you're shooting these little types of things, make sure you don't shoot more than 2 or 3 within the same proximity, because you don't want these, one goes off and knocks another one over. Try to shoot these spaced out, or you'll notice these have holes in them. Screw them down, fasten them down, glue them down, or shoot one at a time. Otherwise, be careful on these things. These little cakes, if you shoot any little cakes like this, sandwich them between bricks so they don't tip over, or put 2 or 3 together, tape them together, glue them together, plastic wrap them, do something of that sort. Pops, again, I allow these, but these are so dangerous because children, especially teenagers, are like, oh, they don't really hurt anybody. I've been hit in the foot and the leg, and the next thing you know, somebody wants to hit somebody in the face with them. Anything headed towards the face is dangerous. And again, it's not that these are, dangerous on their own, but just because of human error. If kids are using these, you watch them. Just be careful of those things. Fountains, believe it or not, these things are dangerous because idiots like I was. I remember being a teenager, we would have a fountain. Our job is, hey, let's go jump over the fountain because it'd be cool. Because guys, for some reason, are fascinated with their junk, and they're like, okay, I'm going to straddle this thing and run across it. Bad idea. These things can be very dangerous. Also, I've seen people, they're like, oh, this is just a little fountain, and it's just shooting sparks off the top, but they don't realize then it's going to crackle, and the crackle gets them. Be careful on these. After sparklers, in my opinion, the second most dangerous firework is probably rockets. The reason rockets are so dangerous is because when you put them in the ground, you put them in a bottle, shoot them out of a tube or whatever. By the way, I would suggest you shoot your rockets out of these unless they have a longer stick, in which case you need to find something better. But these, they have a mind of their own. Sometimes you don't even know, and I'm not just talking about this brand, I'm talking about all rockets. You don't really know which directions these things are going to head. So be careful. I don't put these in my show because it's just too chaotic. I love shooting them. I just don't put them in my show because they're chaotic. Bottle rockets, dangerous. Why are they dangerous? Because people want to shoot them out of their hands. They want to have bottle rocket wars. They want to throw them at each other. all bad ideas. So these are dangerous as well. Roman candles, again, dangerous because people like to hold them by the end and shoot them at one another. Yeah, don't do that. So this is another fountain, real good fountain. Not too long ago I had a show at my house, and idiot decided he wanted to just go over and get close to it just because he thought it was cool, and then all of a sudden chaos started happening, which it's supposed to do. So those are dangerous too. Artillery shells can be dangerous because when they go in and they don't come back out, people are like, oh, what happened? And so they go get it and they try to dump it out or look in there, and boom, chaos. If it didn't go off, leave it alone. Wet it, or sprinkle it, put some wet towel over it. Just leave it alone mostly though, because you don't want the chaos. So the moral of the story here, and by the way, overload fireworks, people will say they're the most dangerous. I disagree. When I shoot overload fireworks, yes, I've shot illegal fireworks, I shoot professional fireworks. The key is making sure you have enough space between your spectators and your show that nobody gets hurt, and use a barrier. So if something does happen, it protects your crowd. What about fireworks? Moral of the story is, which fireworks are the most dangerous? They're all dangerous when not used correctly. The more harmless you think it is, the more harmless you think it is, the less you respect it, the more likely you're going to have an accident and something chaotic happen. So again, this is Country Fellow Speaks. I hope some of this will help you in your fireworks show, keep people safe, keep people from getting in trouble, and y'all just have a great Sunday. God bless.